Hello, dear friends. Have you ever noticed something strange about your English? You can speak. You know the words. You understand everything. But the moment you sit with smart people, people you respect, people you feel are more intelligent than you, your English suddenly collapses. Your mind goes blank. Your sentences feel unsafe. Your confidence disappears. And you walk away thinking, why does this keep happening to me? If English confidence, overthinking, and speaking fear are things you struggle with, make sure you subscribe. This channel isn't about grammar tricks. It's about fixing what actually blocks your English. Why you speak worse English with smart people around. Here's something important you need to understand. Your English doesn't get worse randomly. It gets worse selectively. You don't struggle the same way with everyone. You speak more comfortably with friends. You speak more comfortably with people younger than you. You even speak better with strangers sometimes. But when smart people enter the room, colleagues who speak fluently, seniors who sound confident, or people you mentally place above you, something inside you shifts. Suddenly, you're no longer just speaking English. You're being watched. And the moment you feel watched, your brain changes the rules. Instead of focusing on what you want to say, your mind starts focusing on how you will sound. You start replaying sentences in your head before speaking. You start correcting yourself mid-sentence. You start choosing silence over risk. Not because you don't know English, but because you don't want to expose yourself. At that moment, English is no longer a language for communication. It becomes a test of intelligence, a test of competence, a test of whether you deserve to be in that room. So your brain activates its oldest instinct, protection. It tells you, be careful. Don't say something wrong. Don't lose respect. And this is where fluency breaks. Because fluency doesn't survive under surveillance. Fluency needs safety. It needs permission to be imperfect. It needs freedom to move forward even when the sentence isn't perfect. But around smart people, you don't give yourself that freedom. You try to sound intelligent instead of sounding human. And that effort, that constant self-monitoring, is exactly what makes your English feel worse than it actually is. This is why, when you leave the room later, you replay the conversation in your head and think, I could have said that better. Of course you could have. Because the problem was never your English. The problem was the pressure you put on yourself to not look less intelligent. And once you understand this, something important changes. You stop blaming your English, and you start seeing the real enemy. Why smart people trigger fear more than strangers. Here's something most people never realize. Strangers don't scare you. Smart people do. And it's not because they're judging you more. It's because you are judging yourself harder in front of them. When you talk to a stranger, there is no history, no reputation to protect, no image to maintain. If you make a mistake, it doesn't define you. You can walk away and never see them again. But with smart people, it's different. These are people whose opinions matter to you. People you respect. People you don't want to disappoint. So, your brain quietly raises the stakes. It tells you, this moment counts. This sentence matters. This mistake will be remembered. And the moment your brain decides the moment is important, fear enters the room. Not loud fear. Silent fear. The kind that tightens your chest. The kind that slows your thoughts. The kind that makes simple sentences feel dangerous. You're no longer speaking to express ideas. You're speaking to protect your identity. You don't want to sound like someone who struggles. You don't want to sound less capable. You don't want to lose the invisible respect you think you've earned. So you start filtering yourself. You simplify your thoughts, not because you can't say more, but because saying more feels risky. You pause too long, not because you're thinking deeply, but because you're afraid of choosing the wrong words. And slowly, your real personality disappears from your English. What comes out isn't you. It's a controlled version of you. This is why smart people affect you more than strangers. They activate something deeper than language. They activate self-worth. And once self-worth is on the line, English stops being just English. It becomes a mirror. Every mistake feels like proof. Every pause feels like exposure. Every accent feels like weakness. But here's the truth that changes everything. Smart people are not evaluating your English the way you think they are. They're focused on the idea, the value, the contribution. The pressure you feel is coming from inside, not from them. You're fighting an invisible audience in your head. And as long as that audience exists, your English will never feel free. The moment level shift that unlocks your English. Let's make this practical. Not theory, not motivation. Something you can use in the exact moment your English starts collapsing. Because the freeze doesn't happen slowly. It happens in seconds. You enter the room. You notice who's there. Your brain labels them as smart. And instantly the pressure rises. So, here's what you need to do before you speak, not after. You have to change what the conversation means to your brain. Right now your brain thinks, this is a performance. We need to replace that with, this is a contribution. A performance is about how you sound. A contribution is about what you add. So, the moment you feel that pressure, pause internally and ask yourself one quiet question. What am I adding here? Not, how do I sound? Not, is my English good enough? Just, what is the idea I want to put into the room? Because the moment your focus shifts to the idea, your brain relaxes. It stops guarding your image. It stops scanning for mistakes. It gives your language permission to move forward. Here's another powerful shift. Stop trying to sound intelligent. Intelligent people don't try to sound intelligent. They try to be clear. Clarity is safer than complexity. So instead of searching for perfect words, give yourself this rule. Simple and moving forward is better than perfect and silent. Say the sentence even if it's not polished. Finish the thought even if the grammar isn't clean. Momentum matters more than accuracy in real conversations. Now here's the most important part. Your brain freezes because it thinks one sentence defines you. So, you need to teach it something new. A sentence is not a verdict. It's just a step. If one sentence comes out awkward, you don't stop. You continue. You rephrase. You add context. You correct yourself calmly. That behavior tells your brain, nothing bad happened. And the brain learns from behavior, not from logic. Every time you keep speaking after a small mistake, you weaken the fear loop. This is how fluency is rebuilt. Not by eliminating mistakes, but by proving that mistakes are survivable. And once your brain feels safe again, your English starts showing up. The identity shift that changes everything. Here's the final truth. You don't actually feel inferior around smart people. You position yourself as inferior. Not consciously, but internally. The moment you walk into a room and think, these people are smarter than me, you quietly assign yourself a lower role. Listener, observer, silent participant. And once you take that role, your English follows it. Your voice becomes smaller. Your sentences become safer. Your presence fades. Because language always obeys identity. So the real change doesn't start with English. It starts with how you see your place in the room. Smart people are not a threat. They are peers with different strengths. They know things you don't. You know things they don't. But when you forget that, you stop showing up as yourself. Here's the shift that changes everything. You're not there to prove intelligence. You're there to offer perspective. Perspective is not about sounding perfect. It's about seeing something others may not. And once you accept this, something powerful happens. You stop waiting for permission to speak. You stop rehearsing sentences in your head. You stop shrinking. Your English doesn't suddenly become flawless, but it becomes honest. And honesty sounds confident, even with mistakes. From this moment on, remember this. You don't need to earn your place in conversations. You already have it. Your accent doesn't disqualify you. Your pauses don't expose you. Your imperfect English doesn't reduce your value. The moment you stop trying to sound smart, You start sounding real. And real people are the ones others listen to. This is when English stops feeling heavy. This is when speaking feels natural again. This is when fluency returns. Quietly, steadily, permanently. Not because your English changed, but because you did. If this video felt personal, that's because it was. This was never about English. It was about the pressure you carry into the room. You don't need perfect English to belong. You don't need to sound smart to be respected. You belong before you speak. So, the next time you're around smart people, remember this. You're not there to impress. You're there to contribute. If this helped you, like the video. Subscribe for English confidence built from the inside out, not grammar tricks. If you know someone who goes silent around smart people, share this with them. Comment below, do you feel more pressure around smart people or authority figures? Remember this, you're not alone in this journey. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.